Options. This hand invite people. Toggle button. Your microphone. Toggle button. Turn camera off. Just bandwidth settings. But leave off button.
What's up, everybody? It is Vashawn Jones with Michael Babcock, who just said that we are live. And so gatekeepers. Mike, what's your thoughts on gatekeepers?
They are a pain in my rear, and whatever I can do to automate getting past the gatekeepers, you know I'm all about it.
Steve Jobs says the only way to predict the future is to invent it. What's your thoughts?
Makes a lot of sense. And I think we overthink it too. I know I'm guilty of it. The future's determined is what I've often thought, but you're right. You create your future and you learn from your mistakes.
Man, it's amazing. The podcast medium, the podcast arena, how do you see blind people fitting into podcasting and being successful at it?
I think that podcasting is definitely the way to go. Those of you who've listened to any podcast I've done before, I'm sitting at just about 200 official published episodes. I think I'm at 199 right now. And that doesn't count the live streaming of videos that blind individuals can do. And the cool thing about podcasting for a blind person is that you're on an equal playing field with every other podcaster. You don't need to make sure that the video looks good because no one's seeing you unless you're doing video casts. But if you're doing audio, of course you need your audio to sound the best. That is my number one frustration thing, is when a audio individual comes to me and says, I'm an audio engineer and I have all this schooling in audio, but yet when you edit podcasts, they sound horrible. Never mind, don't get me started on that one. But I think podcasting is a great means of communicating with your audience, especially if you're a blind business owner.
Man. What about blogging?
If you can write, then it's great for you. I have a mentor that told me, Michael, you have 4 means of communicating with your audience. Do pick and choose which ones come to you the easiest. The 4 means that he gave was writing, audio or podcast, video, and images. So for me, video and audio are my number 1 and 2. I can take that audio and video, get it transcribed into a text post or into an infographic, pay someone to do that, and then I'm in all 4 mediums. But writing, if you're a blogger and you can write, then definitely do that. Do what comes easiest to you and then figure out the rest.
Man. So Facebook.
What about it? Facebook's great, except for it's a time waster. How do I use Facebook? I spam on Facebook. I will admit that, first of all. I use Facebook to spam my message, get it in front of as many people as I can. And often that means I will post it more than once, 2 or 3 times, simply because Facebook is in the game to help themselves. And so they're not going to get it in front of all my fans or my group members or my subscribers. So I think Facebook can be a huge time waster. I've been guilty of it for quite a while, but now I'm using it literally to push my content to Facebook, and I'm using tools that I talk about in a podcast coming up in 2 weeks over at Your Own Pay that is talking about automation tools to automate your social media. So I'm not on Facebook every day, but I'm on Facebook every day.
And so the name of the podcast again is what?
The Your Own Pay podcast, and the one that I was just mentioning comes out 2 weeks from yesterday, titled Tools to Automate Your Social Media. And actually that comes out next week. I was just looking at the calendar. I'm a week behind myself.
Got you. So LinkedIn.
If you're a business to business and you're trying to connect with business owners, or you're trying to get in contact with the person behind that gatekeeper and you want to get a personal relationship with them, find them on LinkedIn. Use a service like Rocket Beach, I think is the name of it. I'll look it up here in a second. And it will give you their email address that you can use. And often that email address is a private email address. So LinkedIn is a great untapped resource for any business owner, really.
Wow. So throw out a medium that's exciting you right now.
A medium that is exciting me right now is YouTube TV. I don't know if people have heard of that, but YouTube TV is, if you've ever had a Sling account or a Hulu account or a Netflix account, YouTube is taking that to the next level. You're going to pay them a certain amount of money. You're going to have access to all, well, not all of them, but a lot of your local channels. You're going to have access to curated content by YouTube from YouTubers, is what they're called, individuals streaming or publishing content to YouTube, and it will come as related content to the content you're already watching. So if you're a business owner or you're a content producer and you're producing content that's motivational and people are watching motivational shows on primetime TV, you have a chance. Of course, I'm sure you can pay to be there too, pay to play, but you have a chance to be shown as a related video, which means that the average small business owner will easily be able to say, I'm in the living room of as many Americans, or as I'm in the living room of as many individuals who have YouTube TV as you want to be
in. Were you a Windows user in the past?
I still use Windows. I'm not fully Mac. I 90% of my work is on the Mac, but there are a few things that I'll jump over to Windows to do with JAWS. It's because I'm a JAWS user, and it's just faster to get it done. So that right there is something that keeps people from being successful. They want to choose 1,000% one platform or the other, and it's pretty much the right tool for the job. How valuable is having Windows to do that job efficiently and effectively? Is it for you to still be able to have Windows? I think it's very valuable. So an example of this I gave when I was interviewed for the Digital Accessibility podcast back in March of last year. And I used to use a tool. I no longer use them. Nothing against them. I'm not saying anything against them, but I don't use them anymore because it doesn't really fit into my workflow, called Lead Pages. And Lead Pages was about 80% accessible on the Mac, except you couldn't remove elements using Safari and VoiceOver, or Chrome and VoiceOver, because I'll try Chrome on VoiceOver before I jump over to Windows. But I could jump over to Windows and remove that element in a couple of clicks using JAWS. However, as I said, most of the stuff was done in Mac. So having that opportunity to pick and choose between what platform, what operating system, or what browser you're using definitely puts you in an advantage than one person who's, I'm only going to do this way, and they're not willing to experiment with new things. Or get connected with someone who's already experimented with it and tried things and figure out what they found to be the best solution for your scenario.
So if somebody was to apprentice under you, where would you start them at to get an understanding? You got this guy, girl, this person that says, hey, I want to be like Michael Babcock. What would you start them at with the mentorship?
They want to learn all about the tech, and they want to know how to do the tech side of things, because I'm still learning the business side of things, the forming an LLC, the building out a business bank account, building your business credit. If they're looking to learn the tech, though, and do what I do, I would start them out on my favorite CMS or content management system called WordPress, just because 40% of the websites on the internet today are ran on WordPress. So if you have the basic knowledge of WordPress, you can go out there and leverage that knowledge to do freelance work on Fiverr or Get a Freelancer or Guru.com, and you can start showing that the knowledge that you've acquired by working with me can actually result into cold hard cash. And that's, in the end of the day, really what matters is, what are you doing that gets you more cash to put more food on the table, to give you the freedom you're desiring.
Amazing. So the gatekeepers, I guess when I think about and I look at what Uber has done, and you look at what Lyft has done, how did those two companies sweep in and change your life? Was it gradual? When did you realize that transportation freedom with Uber and Lyft?
See, I'm in a unique situation. You can't ask me that question because Uber and Lyft have made absolutely no impact on my life because of the location that I live. I've never used an Uber and I've never used a Lyft. The concept of them is amazing. I just recently, well, today I had an orientation mobility. What are they called? They're called services instructors. They're not instructors. You don't call them instructors. The official title is services. So I had an orientation of mobility services lesson today, and we were verifying that I'm able to independently travel on a highway right next to the highway because of where we live. There's no sidewalks. It's all, I have to rely on my dog keeping me out of the road. It's an intense situation, but we're doing amazing. So I recently had her come out so she could help me with verifying that I was blind, because apparently I can't verify that myself, and sending in paperwork to the local county so I can get public transportation from them and be able to independently travel to our nearest city, which does have public buses and unfortunately does not have Uber or Lyft. But the fact that you can turn your car into a business, on the business aspect of it, really impresses me. But the fact that it gives anyone who is in the area of having Uber or Lyft the opportunity to summon a car, when they automate that, I'm going to be so much more happier, because then there won't be the limitation of who lives in an Uber area, because the car can drive to that area.
All right. Well, tell me about Twitter then, since you're so smart.
Whoever said I was smart? Twitter is an underused tool. At least I don't use it to the best of its abilities. And I've seen some people do some awesome things with it. The thing about Twitter is it's very concise, very quick, very easy. And if your business caters to blind individuals, I recommend you explore Twitter. And I need to use the find on Twitter more, the search on Twitter more, because there's people out there who don't even know that I exist because they've never connected with me, but they're tweeting the problems they have. And if I search for those problems, I can reach out and say, hey, here's the solution. It's in a free podcast. You want me to do it for you? Pay me.
And do you just cut it off like that?
Sometimes. No, it really depends on the person, though. We're doing the live hangout, and I hit Command D just to make it give that dramatic cutoff effect. But really, that's what it comes down to. You spend too much time BSing and him-hawing around what you're trying to do, then you're not going to make money, and you're not going to be able to build your business. One lesson that I've learned, and you know this, Vashon, I'm sure you've been there, over the past 6 months or so, 5 or 6 months, I've started having regular monthly income. Up until then, it was money here, money there, and it was great when it happened. Now that I have regular monthly income, I can reach out to someone and say, hey, I don't want to do this job. Here's how you do it. Here's a video showing you how to do it. I think it's important, if you're handing off a job, unless it's something you physically cannot do, you know how to do it. So you can teach the person how to do it, and you can make sure that ensure that it's done the way you expect it. But over the past 5 or 6 months, I've not had a lot of regular income. Now that I have a regular income, it's not a whole bunch, but a regular income, that leverage gives me something to leverage, which is money, to use other people to perform the work that I'm getting, because I'm a talker. I will talk all day long if you let me, and I can connect with people all day long, but it's getting the jobs done that sometimes can become a problematic for me, which admitting that is the first step to recovering over it, or hiring someone off of Fiverr to get them to do the work that you know you're not going to get done, so you can connect with more people.
All right. So your calendar app looks like what? How do you manage your calendar? And what tools do you use?
Listen to yourownpay.com/DM2. Actually, we talked all about calendars last week, but my calendar process has changed actually since we recorded that. I recently invested into Fantastical 2 on my iPhone. I love that app. I don't know what I did before it. So when someone says, hey, Michael, let's do this, and if we're in person, I'll whip out Fantastical, which is on my dock. I'll add a new event, and I'll say, chat with Vashon next week at 1 p.m., and it creates the event for me. So that's how I deal with it if I'm in person. I use Google, so Google will mail me a daily recap of all of the events that I have coming up at 5 a.m. my time. So it's in my inbox, ready for me to go when I first get into my inbox. I can see what's coming up. My Apple Watch is also synchronized with my calendar as well. So at a quick glance or a quick touch of my finger, I know what's coming up next, and I can know when that event starts and where I need to be. And then if I'm bringing appointments in from someone else, I'll use a service called X.AI, which will automate the appointment scheduling process. So the back and forth emails, what time works for you? Let me check my calendar. This time works. That time doesn't work for me. What time works for you on this week? So I don't email people back and forth to set up meetings. And then the other one that I use at times is Calendly, which is a web-based go and pick what date and time works for you. It just depends on who I'm emailing, whether or not them emailing a computer, they'll overcomplicate it and it would be easier for them to just click on a link. But I have both those resources available if that's what I need.
All right, so I'm gonna put you on the spot. When you're walking me through this stuff, what type of person am I when you handle these tech concerns, system concerns, life concerns, business concerns for the individuals that you help and consult? What type of person am I when it comes to teaching something?
You're an average person when it comes to teaching something on technology. And I say that in the nicest way possible. And I don't mean it in any sort of degrading way. But the thing is a lot of people know how to set up a YouTube live event. A lot of people know how to set up a Google Calendar, but they do the same thing I do. They second guess themselves or they overcomplicate the process. So sometimes you just have to break it down for them and walk them through step by step. When you show someone how to do it, then they're able to figure it out. So I would say that's about average of the type of people that I'm working with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes the average people more efficient and more effective when you find a way to communicate with them.
Or you set up a system.
Yep. And anybody else out there blind setting up systems like you that you know of?
I'm sure there are, but I haven't come across them. And maybe there's not, but I've not personally come across them. But I don't understand why someone else wouldn't be out there doing it. Like that's my thing is there probably is. I don't know of them, but my thought is if there's not, why not?
Well, I'm sure you know this conversation stems from gatekeepers. I feel that there are not a lot of them out there. In my honest opinion, I believe certifications are great. I think it helps you get your first job once you get the experience, and you don't have to show your certification because you've done the work. And in our culture, I just feel like we've been told a bunch of stuff that's just not true. When we can all tell the horror stories, and they're horrific. They're horrific. But I think we can change it. I think we can change it. So any last thoughts on gatekeepers? Are they real? You know?
Yeah, I think I understand where you're coming at with that is, you know, it's unfortunately we're put into the situation where we're told one thing, we're caused to believe one thing, and then that belief of one thing, you can't do this, or that's not something you should be doing, becomes ingrained as reality. And it's no longer a belief. It's something that we honestly feel. And we've honestly conditioned ourselves to believe that really we can't do that, but you can. And I think you stand in your own way too often.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because it's almost like a hammer, you just beat down and everything. Everything has to be free, and everything has to be tailored and catered to, and pick me up and take me here and drive me there. And it just keeps you beholden to somebody else. And man, when you take control of your life and do what you want to do, it's great.
Things unexpectedly fall into place when you don't even realize it, as long as you take action.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So how did you get this passion for, I don't went into outline mode. How did you get this passion for creating systems, Mike?
Well, so my passion for creating systems, for being able to automate things, stemmed from me getting started making money online back in 2012, experiencing or running into a CAPTCHA and not being able to originally set up the system I wanted to set up. Then when I finally got the opportunity to set up the system I wanted to set up, I still needed help to configure everything because the buttons were unlabeled. So I think really what happened is I said, there's got to be an easier way to do this. When I got connected with someone on Periscope back in 2015, he said, hey, Michael, why have you not created a training to teach people how to do the things that you're already doing every day? Why not start recording your screen, go in, build email lists or build websites or build out a Facebook page or build a Twitter profile and do that stuff while you're recording your screen, and then go back and edit it or have someone else edit it, which is a new thing I'm experimenting with in the near future to see if they edit it as well as I want them to, but have someone else edit that content so you don't have to, and then turn that into a course so people can purchase it. And then they can invest into the knowledge you've acquired over the past 12, 14 years, because over that time I've been acquiring knowledge and I had to realize that, or they can pay you a substantial more amount to have you go in and do it, because you're teaching either them how to do it or their team how to do it. Maybe they have a team and they can actually just go in and do everything you can do, or they can have you do it for them. And that's what caused me to get into building systems and learning about systems. Is when I could teach other people how to do it, I realized that it could be a lucrative aspect. Now, one thing I want to bring up though is because I hear this often, Michael, your target audience are blind entrepreneurs. Blind people don't have money. Why would you charge money to blind people? There's a 70% unemployment rate of blind individuals in the United States. My comment to that one is, yeah, there's a 70% unemployment rate, which means there's a 30% employment rate for individuals who might not want a job, and I can build them a system. Or that 70% unemployment rate has a reason to want to build systems so they can build their own business.
All right. Now, how do you leverage networking virtually, networking in a real way, because there's other people that help you in your system besides the automated stuff that makes sense? You got true relationships of people that you're pulling along the way and making connections, which is a network. It's multiple connections. It's not just you getting or me getting, it's everyone winning because we're helping each other. How do you manage a virtual world in a real world? You know, your time, you're married, you got your brothers, you know, you're running a business, you're doing a VR case. How do you manage real relationship in life?
It is difficult at times, and I'll be the first to admit that it is difficult at times. And I'm all about automation. So often I'll be sitting talking with someone or we'll be figuring something. I'll be like, in the back of my mind, how can I automate this process? Which does not help with building relationships with people. But I think it's important, you're right, to have that relationship, to be able to reach out and connect with someone, to send a voice message or to jump on Slack. I'm an avid user of Slack now with connecting with my audience and connecting with my partners and the people that I'm networking with, simply because messages can be searched. So I can say, oh, we were talking about gatekeepers the other day. Here's all the messages that we discussed about gatekeepers, because I will admit my memory is not the best. I forget things often. And so I think being able to take notes on the relationships that you're building, whether that be in person or digitally, and whether that be using a service like Slack, or I recently learned about an app called Drafts, which apparently will let you easily drop in notes real quickly and save them wherever you want. So I think building networks is great. I need to work on that myself more, but being able to maintain relationships and being able to keep track of the relationships that you're building is also essential. So come up with some sort of system that you use or that you might be able to use to maintain that. You don't necessarily need a CRM or contact relationship management software, but leave notes in the contact card of someone on your iPhone. That's what I did for a while. I think relationships are useful, and they can definitely be leveraged to your advantage and the advantage of others.
Yeah. I just didn't see any gatekeepers, anything stopping me from starting Fedora. I didn't see any reason why it couldn't be done. And, it's amazing to be able to go back now and really connect the dots because, in corporate, it's nothing but a system. It's just a system that runs well to generate a revenue. And the better the system, the more revenue you can generate. And I guess, did you see gatekeepers, or what was your clear and present danger, if you will, when you said, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur?
Myself. That was my biggest thing. My wife was sitting beside me telling me, Michael, you got this. You're overthinking it. You're better than what you're giving yourself credit for. My family was supportive. Everyone was supportive, but myself was who realized it was a mental hurdle challenge that I had to go through, and realized that, as my mentor is saying, I am more valuable than I think. And he's often saying, you are more valuable than you think. And that's so true. You are more valuable than you think because you have knowledge other people need, but they don't want to go through the time or the hassle to be able to get that knowledge. So I think I myself was my biggest gatekeeper.
Wow. Now that's funny. My wife told me something similar, and it really pushed me. How was that feeling when she told you, you're better than what you're thinking that you are, and you just wake up the next morning heroic? How was that for you?
Well, now I have regular monthly income. She's been telling me it for a long time, but I got to be the typical stereotypical male and only have a selective hearing, and I only hear it when it's convenient for me. But right. Seriously though, when I realized it though, and I realized that what she was saying was true, it helped me build my confidence, because someone who I respected, someone who I loved, someone who was there for me when my mother passed away, someone who I will be there for when her grandfather passes away, someone who is always available to communicate with me, tells me, Michael, you can do this. It is possible. Then I sit there and I think, well, those people who claim that I can't do it, or those people who say you shouldn't do it because blind people don't have money, maybe they don't know what they're talking about, because I'm not gonna go after a dream, or I'm not going to I should reword that. I'm not going to stop going after a dream because someone who has no experience with my personality or someone who doesn't know me is trying to tell me what to do.
Hold on. We got sighted people using androids riding around in a Neon with a busted radiator over blind enterprise program. And told us, it was me, Demasi, Chris Ingram, Marcy Weinberg, Scott Rummery, that he wouldn't recommend us to anyone in the world. And I cut off the communication, but I'm thinking, and I kept thinking, I'm like, dude, you're not qualified to recommend us. You wasn't there. You use an Android. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this type of stuff runs rampant all through our government, who is here to serve us. We the people. They work for us. The government here, listen, you can cut it up, you can send it out. America's Most Wanted. The government, all states, work for you, blind people, disabled people. There are no gatekeepers. If you go into your counselor's office with a plan of action, you'll see stuff move, like your case being closed. There's no more gatekeepers. What you think, Mike?
Do their job for them. I recently had an experience with that. I have a counselor who is amazing. Shout out to Samantha. She's done some awesome things for me to help me get to where I need to be and to help me make some things happen. But that is not because she is with the Oregon Commission of the Blind. That's not because she has a contract with the state of Oregon. It's because I came to her and I said, Samantha, here's what I want to do. Here's how I'm going to do it. and here's what I need from you. And it happened. Like she helped me figure out what I needed to do. I filled out the paperwork, signed the paper. I reached out to her a couple weeks ago and said, hey, Samantha, my case has been closed for about 1.5 years now. It's getting ready to conclude on the 31st of May. My question for you is, I recently moved and I need orientation and mobility skills so I can get out and be active in the community. And yes, there was a slight waiting period. That does happen, and you got to stay on top of it. That's part of dealing with the government organizations.
Right.
But when we got it all taken care of, I signed a piece of paper, emailed it back to her with technology. Thank you, DocuSign. And I was able to get anything I needed. But it comes back to communication. You have to know what you want, how you're going to make it happen, and what you can provide and what you need help with.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I just think a lot of people need to really, really, hear and understand. And I keep using those references, the Ubers, the Lyfts, and realize even with Michael that there's certain people that, are not even realizing the power of that because they don't have access to a Uber or a Lyft. And I've been places where Uber did not make sense at all. I was literally going up and down the beach in Clearwater, Florida for 49 cents. So I don't know what Uber was paying dude, but so if they can do it there, I know they can get Uber in rural areas. All you gotta do is sign up, take people around. Plenty of people need to be taken around.
Soon enough, blind people will be Uber drivers too with automated cars.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So what do we do with this video? How do we send it out? How do we share it with people? How do we get people to comment? How do we engage, build relationships?
Well, first we ask them. Leave comments. Tell us your experiences. Let us know what has happened in your situation, how your case has been closed, or what challenges you're facing when it comes to closing your case. Secondly, we do the simple thing. And again, we go back to the overcomplicating it. If you head on over to the YouTube video, and if you're watching it live or a replay, tap that share button and share it with all of your active social media. No need in sharing it with any social media that you don't have a presence on. But if you're active on Instagram or you're active on Tumblr, then share it over there. Don't just share it to Twitter or Facebook. And having that encouragement to people and actually doing it ourselves is how we'll be able to build better awareness.
Sounds like a plan to me. We'll see you on the inside. Now, you know what I got to do now is figure out how to stop it. Here we go.
You should have set a hotspot.
Yeah, you told me that, dude. Man, stop, dude.
Close button. Image. Check. Lossy is available. Image. Close button.
I'm not messing with you.
Press Safari. Google Hangout. Live. Menu video. Open menu for Michael Babcock. Menu item 1 of 2.
But you forcing me, man. You are forcing me to up my game, as my daughter said.
Open menu. End of menu. Sean Jones. 2 participants.
You sent me a couple of YouTube links for people to interact with. How do I do that?
Stop broadcast. Selected. Toggle button.
So when we
go ahead.
Yeah, when we end this, I'll show you where that link is. It's on the Vashon Jones channel, and you can share that link out. And if someone's watching it now, they can just hit share wherever they're watching it.
Sound like a plan to me. I'm gonna hit this button.